y'all, it's Rachel with Mr. Nola's Glitter. How you doing today? Today I'm bringing you a tutorial that's super easy and it is super fun and it packs a lot of punch. So I'm going to show you how I created this little cutie. You can use it with any color scheme, but I kind of went with like a darker color scheme. I was gonna do Halloween, but I kind of started thinking about the colors that Mr. Nola liked. This is the perfect size for any of the guys that are on your list, or for coffee if you want to use it for coffee. I think this was a lowball tumbler that I had from Stainless Depot from a long time ago. I think there's some other cup makers or cup suppliers out there that have this size in stock. So I think it is I want to say 12-ounce lowball or whatever, but I'm going to show you what I did with it. So this is what we're going to do today. All right, let's go. First things first, we're going to start by prepping our tumblers. So I am going to be using my handy dandy hand sander. I am using a 240 or 140, I think it's 240 grit sandpaper sheet. I am just going to sand these really quickly and make sure I'm knocking off all of that shiny surface on top of my cups so that my epoxy has something to adhere to. So I'm starting with a really stable base for these tumblers. Next, we're going to wipe them down with alcohol and make sure we're going to get all of that black yucky stuff off of the outside. So when we go to paint, it is a clean sanded surface that our paint is going to stick to, and we're going to have a strong base to build this badass tumbler on. Our next step is to spray paint. So I have just taken these outside. I will sit this on a paper plate. It'll keep the paint from going on the inside of my cup, so I don't have to do much cleanup as far as spray paint on the inside of my cup. And it'll just take a few little bursts here, and I went ahead and prepped a couple more since I'm going to be working on multiples. So this is just me quickly. You can use a Lazy Susan, or you can walk around, or you can just spin your paper plate around. Easy breezy. Once our tumbler is dry from the spray paint, we're going to start out with these beautiful colors. We have Nola, Fix My Streets, Purple Monkey, and Holly Grove. These are the colors that we're going to be using on this tumbler today. We're also going to be using Mr. Nola's Glitter double-sided sticky tape. We are going to be using the second largest roll in this pack. The first roll is 3/4 of an inch, and I believe the second roll is a 1/2 inch. So for this size tumbler, I went ahead and used the 1/2 inch of tape. From here, I just kind of visualized where I wanted these stripes to go. I knew I wanted them to go in a couple different directions, so I just started with a simple diagonal and I built up from there. I only wanted 3 stripes, so I went 3 stripes going one way, and then I spun it around and went 3 stripes going the other way. There was no rhyme or reason. It was just getting 3 stripes laid down. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, and once you get the glitter on it, you'll be able to get a visual of what you're doing. I just kind of kept my colors in mind and kind of wanted to make sure that my colors lined up a certain way. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just making sure my tape is all smushed down into this tumbler so you're getting that super good adhesive. So this is a super sticky double-sided sticky tape. It is wonderful for glitter. As you can tell, I'm going to be using dark colors right over a white base. That's how much adhesive is in our double-sided sticky tape that you don't really have to worry about the base coat unless you're using a super translucent glitter. None of these are translucent. They're all opaque, so I am ready to go. Now that I have my tape laid out in the pattern that I want, I get to start the fun stuff, and it's the glitter. So I first started with Nola. It is a color shifty glitter that we have, and I put it on my first stripe, and then I'm going to use my little chip brush here to make sure to keep all of the glitter off of the other parts. I don't want to contaminate any of that double-sided sticky tape and the other lines. I just want to make sure that the glitter is where it needs to go and nowhere else. If you notice, I am very aggressively brushing this glitter off of this tape. That's how sticky this tape is. That glitter is not going anywhere. I do not have to seal this or anything like that before I go into epoxy. I am just taking my finger and I am pressing it down into that tape to make sure it's adhered to the cup. The glitter and the tape are both adhered very well, and then I'm just aggressively using this chip brush, which is one of my favorite tools in my toolbox, and making sure all the glitter is off before I move to another stripe. Now I'm going to continue doing the same thing with the rest of the 3 glitters that I have picked out. The next color we're going to use is Holly Grove. It is like a dark, kind of like an hunter green. It's a gorgeous green. I wanted it to be very dark, but not too dark. So this, to me, gives me very kind of like classy vibes. Again, using my chip brush, brushing all that glitter off before I pull the backing for the next tape, so I'm not contaminating any of these places. I'm also using my weeding pen to pick up the backing of that tape. That is another great tool that I have in my toolbox all the time. There's no picking off the back with your fingernail. You just lift the corner with the end of that that tool and you're good to go. Now I am going to use the final color, Fix My Streets. It is a black blue. I am going to use the Devil's Glue, aka Mod Podge. So I'm looking for a pretty flat brush. I will brush the Mod Podge into the white areas and use then used the Fix My Street as the black to tie it all together. I ended up using 2 coats of the Fix My Streets on all of the leftover areas. I wanted to make sure I had full coverage on here because I am using a black glitter over a white base. I wanted to make sure that I had full coverage and there was no white seen under this black glitter. Once I have all of the black spaces filled, I went ahead and used the Nola on the bottom. So here you see me putting 1 coat on. I ended up putting 2 coats on the bottom of this as well because I wanted to make sure I had full coverage. Once I have all the glitter on my tumbler, I will let that fully dry and then I will add 1 thin coat of epoxy. So this is with 1 coat of epoxy. You'll see I have 1 little line there. I was trying to figure out what pinstripe looked the best and this is the one that I went with. So I'm using a patterned holographic in a 3mm for the first section of the pinstripe. The pinstriping I use I get from LB Creates. I'll leave a link in the description below. And these are the silver holographic is a 3mm size, and the black that I lay on top of it, which is just a plain black vinyl, is in a 2mm size. So it gives it the look where you almost have it triple pinstriped. So I will just go through on all of my lines and I will lay this first size down and I will use my X-Acto knife and make sure that they are sliced together to where they look very clean, like they belong together and there's no overlapping. So this is kind of tedious, but it's kind of relaxing because once you get it laid down, it looks so nice. Once I have all of my silver pinstriping laid down, I'm going to go back over the top of that with the black, and I am just going to eyeball and put this in the center of that silver. So when you look at it, it looks like it's almost triple pinstriped. It looks like it's silver, black, silver, and I really think it gives it a sophisticated look. It's kind of fancy, and it really dresses up this simple tumbler. And there you have it. This is my completed tumbler. Before I put under epoxy, I went ahead and trimmed the top and added a band of the pinstriping around the top. I really didn't like the way that it overlapped, and I really think it gave it a finished look once it's under epoxy. And here she is. Isn't she beautiful? I loved how simple this was, and I loved how easy this was to come together. And I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you give it a try. I can't wait to do this again with different colors and see where else it might bring us. So if you give this a try, let me know. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.